Hi, I'm Dave from Military Antiques Toronto, and today we're going to be discussing some more stuff that I've picked up and finally getting a chance to take some videos of and process. So, where to start? Yeah, it's one thing after another around here. So, you know what? Let's go with this. So what? It's a first aid kit for tanks and armored cars, right? You know, so what, right? Okay, bit heavy. That's a good thing, I think. Let's look inside. Okay, anytime. There we go. All right. So, 1943 dated with 4-inch gauze bandages and wire splints, etc. 2-inch compressed, mild tincture iodine, all this other stuff, small shell dressing, dated 44. These are, well, obviously they're kind of beyond saving, tannic acid, etc. What's nice though is that all these little boxes have seabroad arrows. So you get into the 2-inch compress here, which shows you how to use it clearly. And then on the other side, we have a seabroad arrow. And then you get to the next one, tincture of iodine. You get the seabroad arrow. Every single box in here has a seabroad arrow. That's nice, because normally you don't get the stuff in the box. It's been dispersed everywhere. 1943, what's in here? Absorbent cotton. So obviously that's a shell type dressing. I probably shouldn't have been open that truthfully, but the tape was broken, so I'll leave it as is. But 1943, so that's neat. Not something that shows up every day. You get the box without the contents. What's nice is you get the contents. So does that make it more money? Definitely. There's a wire splint, like, you know, seabroad arrowed, wire splint. How do I know it's wire splint? Oh, look, it says wire splint. So you get all that stuff in there. That's kind of neat. You know, they're not free. Empty box is far more common than one with the contents. Could you go and add the contents? Yeah, I'm sure you could, but why bother, right? That sounds like work. And if you're interested in putting stuff together, and I don't get it, but hey, some people do. So there's that. That'll get photoed and put up on the website. Ross Rifle Bayonet. So I wish it had the scabbard. And years ago, I got piles of them out of a museum, and I sold them all because I'm stupid, I guess. I shouldn't have done that, but whatever. I should have kept them and just put them off to the side, whatever. It is what it is. So as you can see, Ross Rifle patent, 1907 right there. The wood's got some chip out of it, but that happens. It's marked in a few places. There's the seabroad arrow. The lug nut seems to be seized. It's not been reground yet. It's still in good condition. It still is what it is. So it's still good, but unfortunately there's no scabbard, so it's going to be priced accordingly. Back to that Irish stuff, which I have a few more things still. Irish Regiment Canada Veterans Association. I notice I showed the backs. So that's a nice chenille. This is called chenille, this type of embroidery. So if you look at that, that's the word for this here is chenille embroidery, as opposed to this, which is not. That is chenille. So it's like you get on sports jackets for high school, that type of thing. You know, they're lettered, they're much thicker. It's called chenille embroidery. So they did that in World War II and post-war. That's obviously post-war, but it's still a neat piece. So there's that. Love this. I wish I know who in this picture this belonged to. Unfortunately, I don't. Irish Regiment of Canada canvas shoulder title. Unfortunately, I can't tell you whose it is. No one wrote any name on here as to who this belonged to. You know, unfortunately, I don't know whose it was, but it is, there you go. And let's see if I can get you a picture of that. It's a nicely used canvas shoulder title. You can see where it was removed from a uniform. Nice piece. So there's that. I've had these before. They're not ultra rare, but they're not ultra common either. So this is a U.S. Army, World War II. It's clearly stated right there, 1945. This is a 3-mag pouch for a grenade. So you put your grenades in there. This goes on the back of your belt. That's your leg strap, and you carry extra ordnance that way. you know what? It's a good way of doing it. So that's kind of neat. Something else to get photo enlisted. South African Victorian tin. No contents, unfortunately. Queen Victoria on the face, 1900. Nice condition. Normally these tins are beaten up. There's a small ding here, but normally they're scratched to hell and then some. So that's kind of nice. I don't even know if I have one of these listed. I think I sold one, so I have another one now to list. So that's another thing to do. This is very cool. So it's a book, right? Who cares? It's a Hobson's catalog from 1886, January. So this one here shows, let's see if I can get this going, some incredible colored pictures inside. It's not mint, but it's good. So the pages are coming loose. I don't want to mess with this too much. Drawings of early Victorian uniforms, right? And then you get into the color plates. Look at the detail on that. Beautiful detail. The condition of the hats and everything, the different styles. Beautiful stuff. Lancers uniforms, just amazing. Different lace they use. Bandsman, drummer actually. Different embroidery for lettering. The different lace they use for different regiments. I love that Irish harp. That's gorgeous. There's a book I put up recently that has one of those on a tunic, and it's amazing. All the different badges, and in the back they showed all the prices. I wish I could get these prices now. I'd be happy to pay that. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. So it's not perfect condition, but you know, it's 100 some odd years old, so what do you expect? That's pretty cool. So that'll get listed. Cheek piece, 1951 dated. It's off an M1. It's for the sniper rifle. So that gets laced. It's unissued. That gets laced to the butt. Obviously through there like that with the leather string. And that's for your cheek. So that's something that you don't normally get. You know, maybe they're more available in the States, but you don't see them up here. So I bought it just because. K98 bayonet, not matching. They've gone silly in prices for the past few years, and to the point where, you know, a 45 dated one, and usually if they're dated 45, it's right here on the spine, will, if it's matching, I can't believe, I think the guy had $2,000 or $3,000 on it, and I think he sold it. Obviously, it's late war, I get that, but that's a lot of money for a bayonet, but whatever. What do I know? It's supply and demand, obviously. So this is not matching. It's got an 8,000 and a 7,000 serial number on it. It's dated 42 on the bayonet and 40 on the scabbard. So right there, it's dated on the scabbard, and right there on the throat of the bayonet, you can see it's 42. So numbers are there and there. They're not matching. It's very good condition. It's not been messed with, in my opinion. Bake-like grips. It's a nice unmatching bayonet, but that's another thing to get photoed and listed, hopefully this week. I had a warehouse in Brockville. That was a nightmare. I bought the contents for $60,000. I bought the building for $150,000. I sold the contents for a lot more than $60,000. And then I sold the building for $250,000. But the place kept getting broken into because this is just pre-COVID. The world was going crazy, and that's when all the drug addicts moved into Brockville for some reason. What I'm getting at is, though, that I had hundreds and hundreds of these shirts. And that's being polite. I had hundreds of them. I think I still have probably 100 sitting up on a pallet rack up top in the dark there, in a container, which I should probably drag down and get rid of. But they were all Smurf. So they're all 14.5-inch neck. They were, because guys were smaller back then, right? You didn't find any human size stuff. So 16.5 didn't exist. This is a mint unissued post-war shirt. The guy I got it from was hoping it was wartime. I'm like, no, it's post-war for sure. Most importantly, it's a 17.5-inch neck. And you don't find them that big. I didn't put it on. I know I'm a 16 and a half, so this is a big shirt. Mint unissued, still got all the fold marks on, never been worn. No tags, no nothing. It's Canadian Army, it's post-war, but it's not something you turn up every day in this side. I think somebody's messed with this truthfully and tried to put a seabroad arrow over the post-war seabroad arrow, and I think they've messed up the date purposely to try and sell it as wartime. It's not wartime, it's for sure post-war, but it's a big size, so it's in demand, so that's nice. Last but not least, no, second last, is a battle dress to the West Novies. Has no div patches on. Walked in the door. I haven't had much chance to look at it, truthfully. So it's got Canada titles on and 1 year service stripe. Okay, great, and a CVSM. And I'm not sure if that's a regimental lanyard or not. I'd have to go into my books and see what colors are for the regimental lanyard for the West Nova Scotias. It's seabroad arrow there. It's dated 1944. It's named F.E. Bates, Foxtrot Echo Bates. Bates is his last name, like Norman, except for without the Norman part. Is it right? Possibly. I didn't really examine it too closely. I think it's okay. You know, people who collect these want them with div patches on. You don't always get them with div patches. You can see where the patches were on this. They've been taken off by somebody at some time. Families do that. Yeah, you can see where the patches were. Families do that because they want to put it in a shadow box. It's unfortunate, but you know what? That's what some families do. Is that hurt us as collectors? Sure, but they're not thinking like collectors. They're just like, this was my granddad's or dad's, whatever, and they cut it off, hopefully nicely, and then they put it in a shadow box with his medals. So at least it's preserved, and I guess that's the way to look at it. It does happen, so you got to suck it up and deal with it. Last but not least is what's known as a yard long. Why? Because it's a yard long, literally. So, look, it goes bigger than the picture. It is a 208th Canadian Irish at the Exhibition Stadium. Now, unfortunately, part of the date has disappeared, but of course, the 208th Battalion didn't exist after the war, so I know this is World War I. Now, this is dated March 29th. Actually, I know that's 1917, so that's good. And it's done by Panoramic Camera Company, 239 Victoria Street in Toronto. So on one side, you see a drummer. On the other side, you see the drummer. There's no regimental standard in there that I see, unless I'm blind. No, I don't think so. Looks like the signal party's there because they have their signal flags. And they got rifles, and they're good. And they got a machine gun in the front, which is neat. 2 machine guns, 1 on each side. So, 208th Battalion. That's nice. Again, you find panoramics for artillery and so on. You don't necessarily find them for wanted battalions. A lot of battalions got broken up, so they don't have perpetuating units. Like the 73rd, great, except that they're now Black Watch, and of course they're at Vimy, so everyone wants a 73rd, along with other units, of course. So that's nice. Nice yard long to the 209th. Again, back to that Irish theme. So that's just another thing to get photoed and processed hopefully today. That's about it. Follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Check out the website. There's lots of stuff going on there every day. It's crazy, and there's lots of stuff walking in the door. So thanks for looking. Hope you have a good day. Take care. Bye.